Hi, hello everyone. We are live. I am William. This is Sarah. That is Brandon, and this is the That's How You Feel podcast. This is a special episode today. We had to get this one out as soon as possible because of everything that's going on in the world in the country right now. So we just gonna dive right in. No time wasted. So how y'all feeling? How y'all feeling?
First, I want to start by asking, did any of you play a part in this cause today or
What
at
do you
all in general?
What do you
You
mean?
talking about the
Did you
blackout?
protest? Did you donate? Did you share links, share info,
I've
give
been
supplies?
active
What did
on
you do?
social media. At first, for me, it was tough. I didn't want to really be too active on social media. It was like an internal battle for me. But after seeing what's going on, I had to voice my opinion. I've been active on social media for like the last 2 days, like heavily just putting stuff out there, educated stuff, like not just any random. I've just been trying to give my point of view, but
What about you,
Um
Will?
uh Likewise, like in the beginning, before the protests and rioting, I was trying to on social media lend a different perspective, especially for our black and brown people who might have been filled with the justified emotion, the rage, the anger, whatever it may be. I just tried to lend a different perspective on uh, everything holistically, but to play my part, and I can still continue to do that, but also I decided that I'm gonna donate um, to the funds that are in Missouri and I mean sorry Minneapolis and for George Floyd.
That's good.
It's
I've
only
been
right.
donating too, but I don't want to like stress donating on people considering 40
Yeah,
million people in this country are unemployed. So I try not to be like judgmental about it, but if you could, I think that's a good thing. But you could also do other things to help.
yeah.
yeah.
But shout out to you for donating.
Also,
Um,
before, like, I know I'm looking down a lot.
Your
I'm
thoughts?
organizing the time frames. Gonna have some guests come in, and they're gonna give a little bit of input a little bit later on as we get further into this podcast. But just don't mind me. I'm working.
Okay, got you. So, Will, have you
yeah.
been watching the news? Because I know you've been telling me about some conspiracy theories that you got.
Yeah. Nah. I just I'm not gonna get into the conspiracy theories just yet. I don't think I'm gonna discuss them on this episode, but I haven't been watching the news. I've been paying attention. I've been vigilant, but I don't watch the news because it is
So where do you get your information from then, if not the news? Because I've seen a lot of people say that too.
Google. Google is a good source. Um,
But like
most
Facebook,
social media
Twitter,
sites. Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I pay attention when it comes to social media. I pay attention to the citizen reporters um who are on the ground and they have like more of a unfiltered take on what's going on, especially as
Hmm.
far as the protest is concerned. So yeah, that's basically where I get my sources from. And it's 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 not like the news don't get their sources from social media sometimes. Like social media sometimes has its finger on the pulse way before the news does. So
Yeah, because those people are actually there and it's real time that they're
yeah.
tweeting or posting or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the blackout thing that they're doing? Because I posted it, I'm not gonna lie, I posted something. I posted a blackout little
Mm,
Instagram post, but then I deleted it immediately because I was
right.
like, what is the point of this? Like, there's no action in it and there's no purpose in it. And then I started reading people saying, like, oh, don't tag like Black Lives Matter because you're messing up the information and the algorithm or whatever. So, how do y'all feel about it? Did y'all participate? You think it's stupid?
Nah, I'm not gonna participate in the blackout, but because that I'm not gonna silence my. I don't think that's what it
Well,
means,
it's
but
not for silencing.
I know, but that's what it looks like. So at first, I'm looking at the hashtag. It says something about black all over the, and like people were saying, people were tagging Black Lives Matter in there, and it's like that is silencing a voice. So if that's what, I'm not going to do that. I've been just posting.
But you could post it without tagging it.
You're right, but
because that's
whatever.
what I did, but I still felt like it was stupid and I deleted it, to be honest.
I don't feel like missing out on anything by not participating in that. I'm participating in other ways as well. I'm just we're looking at a lot of I don't know. I don't want to switch it up yet, but we'll go ahead.
So I did do it, but I did it a little different. I posted it on my story, you know, so it'll be up for 24 hours for people to see. But I also, besides just putting up a black, you know, like post, I put a message, and I'm gonna read it. I said, hashtag Blackout Tuesday. Be still. Center yourself. Remember what this is for. Now get up and be the change. So
what I don't even know how to make things change, to be honest with you. Like,
it's not, I see, and I was intentional in my words and the words I used. I didn't say go ahead and get up and make change. I said get up and be change. So be the living
play your
embodiment of
role.
change. And the facts. And the reason why I said that is because when it comes to the protests / riots that have been going on for the past probably like 3 days now, I predicted it. I predicted that it was going to happen, and
It's been 8
I would
days.
8 days.
I'm pretty sure 8 days. Yeah, they said on the news.
Okay, all right.
They could be lying because it's the news, but that's what I heard.
I was really upset and proud at the same time. In certain moments of the protests. I was proud because we, as a people, were able to accomplish something that I didn't think we was going to accomplish. Like we made strides. Like we talked about this last time. We made strides in making sure that the guy was arrested, charges was brought up, et cetera, et cetera. But we jumped the gun as a people when we just started rioting and looting, because it's not like there was a decision that was made. It's not like the verdict was like, oh, this is not going to trial, and people just started going crazy, and they didn't even allow it to play out more. Like they put their energy into rioting and looting instead of making sure that this officer and the other 3 officers were getting some type of charges, some type of arrest, indictments, whatever the case may be. And then we just put that energy in.
So you
kinda
are against rioting it and looting?
Yeah, because the message got lost.
You can't jump the gun if it's been happening continuously for decades.
All right,
one.
so
2, dang, I had another point, but I forgot what you said because you lost me. I jumped the gun.
My thing is the rioting. That's something that I'm not going to get on nobody for. At first, I was really against the looting, and I still am. Like I'm not really. I don't like the fact that
Know
there are
who
people
you're
out there.
looting.
And even that too, but like the looting is unnecessary. Like the rioting, that's one thing. Looting and stealing, like you going into car dealerships, stealing cars. You going into trying to break into Apple to steal like the most expensive. Like for what? Like this is materialistic things that you guys want. Those are opportunists. Those aren't protesters. The rioting or peaceful protesting, that's one thing. If whether you agree with peaceful protesting or not, whether you believe in using force, though there is no right or wrong way, right? They constantly bring up Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and put them against each other. Like, oh, Martin Luther King did it the right way. He died because they said it wasn't the right way, right? Malcolm X, like they love to put them against each other, like they wasn't like they wasn't both supporting each other. Like they both understood each other's way of doing things. They just had their different philosophies, right? So there's different ways.
I'm about to mess stuff up. Sorry, Brandon, you paused for a second, so I thought you were like done talking. But
I think
continue what you were
camera,
saying.
I probably froze. I don't know.
You did for a second.
I don't know if y'all can hear me, but I'm just saying, like, the rioting or peaceful protesting, like, I can't be against either or. And honestly, this is not about George Floyd, right? people are trying to make this about George Floyd, and that's what we constantly make that mistake all the time. Like something happens, and we need it to be about that person. It's not about George Floyd. He is just happens to be the person it took for all this to happen. He's the person that it took for this, for us to take a stand on this, right? Like George Floyd, we are sad that it happened. He's getting we're trying to get him some form of justice. But this isn't about George Floyd. So when people say, "Oh, George Floyd wouldn't have wanted this," "Oh, like George Floyd, they already arrested the cop," this is not about him. This is about the oppression of our people, right? This is about this happening all the time. Every single one of us has a story we can tell, whether it's more extreme or not. Everyone has a story. So when you say I don't agree, or when you say this is not the right way, or this is
I
the
think,
wrong way, what is the right way? What is the wrong way?
yeah, I agree. Like, I can't blame these people for doing what they're doing because we've tried it peacefully, doesn't work. We tried it rowdy, it ain't really working either. So everybody's just going off frustration right now. That's what I wanted to say, though. You reminded me, Brandon. He was only charged with third-degree murder, which
Yeah.
means it was either accidental or unintentional. That would be like me and you are on the subway, I accidentally fall, push you down to the tracks, and you died. That's an accidental death. That's third-degree murder. This was not no third-degree murder situation,
Mm.
which is why people are mad. And they're also mad because the others, I think I just read that they were arrested. I don't know if they're going to be charged. They'll probably get like a slap on the wrist according to what's happening to the other guy, since he's not really being reprimanded the way he should. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say earlier about his charges, because it's bullshit.
Even the posts, right? Like when you see the looting and the rioting, it looks, I guess it can look a certain way, right? If you're looking at it a certain way. But you got white people like that'll post like, "Oh, like if this comes by, if y'all come on my property, or if this comes by, if y'all come near my home, like I won't hesitate to shoot you. I won't hesitate to kill you," right? Like you have white people that are so eager to kill black people. Like they're fiending to kill a black person, or they're letting it known that, "Oh, like if this comes, I'm going to kill you." And it's not even about them. Like, yes, we don't fuck with racist people, but this is not about you. And and everything, they try to flip it on each other. They try to flip it back on themselves to make it about them, right? When you look at history, how white people protested in history, their protest was hunting down. They protested the black people having rights. Their protest was hunting us down, throwing rocks through our windows, taking us from our homes, lynching us, putting us on trees, taking pictures and letting everyone know that this is what we're doing. Taking kids who whistled at women, taking in the alleys, and doing like all these vicious things to them, right? Or this is their protesting when they were oppressed by the British. Their form of protesting was tearing down the country, burning it down, Boston Tea Party, all this stuff. This is what they did. This is and when we do it, right? It's a problem, right? You can't understand it anymore. You don't agree with it anymore. Every movie you guys make, there's some type of riot because it's this. I saw a post about the Hunger Games and the little black girl that died, and that's what caused her section to revolt and cause a riot, and everyone was for that shit. But all of a sudden, they don't agree with it anymore because they want us to be suppressed. They want us to peacefully protest. They really don't want us to protest at all. But the right way is to peacefully protest because that's the easiest to oppress. That's the easiest to suppress. When you're out there
But
burning
people
shit
are
up.
peacefully protesting, and then the cops come in and
Yeah.
it's violent. There's multiple
No,
videos that
exactly.
show
But
like that.
it's easier to take you down if you peacefully protest. It's
I
easier
see
to
what you're
silence you
saying.
if you're peacefully protesting. If I'm being violent, if half the nation is being violent, it's harder for you to control that without showing your hand. What they really want to do is they really want to take us out. They really, if they could right now, they would take out the National Guard and they would
I
massacre
mean,
us.
they have
That's what they
taken
want
some
to do.
people out.
No, I know, but they you remember it was a massacre. Was it the I forgot. It's not my history. It's something that I read in textbooks that they teach you about white history. But some type of massacre that was due to the
Are you
British.
talking about? That
The
far back. Okay.
British massacring the colonies over here. Like that's what they would do to us if they could. That's what they want to do. That's why they always say, like, why can't you peaceful protest? What they really are saying is, why can't you just shut the fuck up and be oppressed? Because no matter what you do, there's a kid on his knees crying, talking about, talking to the cops, oh, I love you. We
I
love you.
saw that video, broke my heart.
Yo, at the end of the video, they took him and arrested him. He ain't do nothing wrong. They don't care about peaceful protests. They want you to shut the fuck up. They don't want you to have a voice. And anybody they see as a leader of a peaceful or a violent protest, they're taking you. It don't matter.
That's what
There is no right
scares
or
me
wrong way.
about like social media and stuff, because people are posting pictures and videos and stuff and lives of them being there, but you're IDing these people that are at these protests, and they can be taken just like the Ferguson stuff. It's easy to identify them if you have a picture or a video of them talking. And I was crazy. I was watching Kehlani's live, and she was at a protest, and it stopped working. Like, it just went black. And then I went on Twitter, and someone asked her, like, what happened to your live? And she was like, yo, I think they're trying to censor my shit. Like, no one can see it for some reason.
Yeah.
And then they said the same thing about someone else's, but I can't remember who it was, which is wild. I think that's low-key the same idea what they're trying to do with the curfews, because now New York's curfew's 8 p.m. and yesterday was 11 p.m.
Yeah, but you see what's going on with the curfews too, right? Like, people who aren't even part of the protest, people who are trying to get home from work, people who are just outside, like they're tackling them. There's people that they're slashing tires, they're pulling them in the alleyways,
Yeah.
turning off body cams, turning off traffic cams. Like it's dirty. It's dirty shit. Like
Of course, that guy who died in Louisville, rest in peace, the barbecue man, I think they call him, is like his nickname or something, his alias. And yeah, they killed him, and coincidentally, none of the cops had their body cams on.
Yeah.
And they said he was on the floor for 12 hours, and he used to feed the cops for free because apparently he was like making food on the street or whatever.
They just killed another man the other day, the same way they killed George Floyd.
With no body cams.
That's
wild.
It's wild. I don't know. Like, but back to what Will was saying, like I'm not going to sit here and attack you for not agreeing, but my thing is this: when you see, I'm gonna ask you this question. When you see, like, in your history, your ancestors, because we got to know our history too. Like, when you see ancestors trying to be peaceful, when you see it throughout all the decades, all the generations, and now it gets to us, and you watching these peaceful protests, can you really blame rioters? And I'm not talking about looters. Can you really blame, like, rioters? Can you really blame people who are willing to get violent? Can you blame them because they don't see any other way? Like, when we're watching peaceful people being shot and killed, being dragged and brutally thrown to the ground, arrested, that tear gas being shot through their fucking brains, right? Like, can you get mad at people who wanna riot?
Did you see?
Hold on, I won't be able to answer the question though.
Like, all right, go ahead.
So it's a very this is a very unique one because I've seen a lot of videos where people were peacefully protesting and they planted agitators in the protests, i.e. undercover cops, white people dressed in all black, vandalizing property, breaking glass and all that. And ironically, the videos that surfaced after that were like our people coming out of stores with shit and all that, right? So
that's not ironic.
I mean, I said that sarcastically.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make it clear.
Yeah. But my whole thing is, especially with our people, like y'all said, like, we done it peacefully, we rioted, we destroyed shit, and for me, you know, the funny thing about this protest is that it really showed the lengths that that the opposition is willing to go to ensue chaos, to ensue divide between police, law enforcement, and the general population. Like you said, Sarah, there's a lot of people who are literally peacefully protesting and telling white people to stop vandalizing property because that's not what we're here for.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like I never as just looking at different points in time, like especially in my lifetime and in history, like I never saw protesting as the thing to continuously do. Like it's step one, but we're not supposed to be protesting for like a week max, because if it drags on too long, then I feel like the message gets lost or shit like this happens. And it history shows that shit like this happens. Like, and I feel like protest is meant for awareness, point blank period. But there has to be a plan to follow up right behind that, a viable, useful plan to follow up right behind that.
You have a plan?
Do you remember what happened after after Martin Luther King was murdered? Like directly after he was murdered?
There's a lot of things that happened.
Do you remember what the people did? Our people did.
Right,
We rioted.
right, yeah.
So all that, or peaceful, or violence, whatever, right? That all went out the window after he was murdered, right?
Right.
And then what happened directly after that riot?
They start
What there was a civil rights act passed, right?
yeah.
So like, yeah, that's what happened. So what I'm saying is, who's to say, like, I get what you're saying, it needs to be a plan, but who's to say what the right or wrong answer is? He did it the right way, and he was arrested multiple times, right? He was also assassinated for it. And let me not say assassinated.
Well, he wasn't assassinated.
He wasn't assassinated. He
for
was murdered he was murdered in the hospital, but his life was
assassination attempt.
Assassination attempt, and because that failed, the doctors
But
had to finish the job. But
he wasn't murdered because of protesting. He was murdered because he was demanding that we have equality in economics for all people. That's the reason why he was killed. He wasn't killed because of civil rights. He wasn't killed because of joining together man and white man, black man. He was killed because
Civil rights is equality, no?
No. But there's the reason, I'm telling you, the reason why Martin Luther King was killed was the fact that he was about to march for economic equality. They don't tell us about that though.
regardless of what he was about to march for.
No, but I'm telling you.
I get what you're saying. I know
it wasn't.
He was about a lot. He was about a lot of things. He was marching for a lot of things. He was advocating for a lot of things. It wasn't just so black and white people could go to school together, like they try to try to teach you in school. He was about a lot of things. I'm talking about his methods, right? And let's not. He probably had some shit, like I said. Like they love to do this. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, opposite sides of the pole. When they were sitting under the table, they had ideas that they were sharing with each other, and they never got to see it through to fruition. So it's like,
but
it's like, go ahead.
But when it comes to nowadays, like present day, there has to be a level of strategy. We have to be very intentional as a people. We have to be very strategic as a people, right? Rioting and all that, it just shows the voice of the unheard, right? It's the voice of the unheard. I get that, but we rarely get to control our narrative. One, and two, we give them the ammunition. A lot of times, we give them the ammunition
to do what?
To enforce stuff like a curfew, which is, might I add, the first steps of martial law. If you want to be real,
hold on. Yeah, I want to let someone join real quick, right? And we'll have a little another voice just for a little bit. But I do not
Another
know.
perspective.
I don't
It's
want to.
always
I
a
don't
good
want to
thing.
put this on us 100%. Right. So hold on.
Okay.
We're gonna let him in. We'll continue it from there. He's probably gonna. Hey, what's going on, Joe? How you doing?
It says he's connected to audio. He's not connected yet.
Got you. So, when he joins in, when we can hear him, you good? Hello.
Yo.
Oh, there you go. What's
What
up?
can you hear us? We can't hear you, brother. All right.
Oh, hold up. Give me my audio.
So essentially, like I understand what you're saying, right? There are some certain things that we do put on ourselves, especially like the things that we have interest in, media wise. I won't say that the ammo that we're giving them that you're saying, a lot of you just said it out of your mouth that a lot of white people are actually the ones that are igniting and doing these things, like right. So like the curfew and the vandalism and the looting, a lot of them are the ones that are coming in and infiltrating peaceful protests, and they're the ones. This is the part of their plan. So for us to say, oh yeah, this is we're giving them ammunition, that might not be right.
Yeah. Nah,
That's definitely not right.
but even in those times, like we're moving as sheeple, like we would actually contribute to the looting, even though we're not there for that.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm look, I don't care about people. Like, it's not my place, or I don't care about the looting. I just care about how you look and why and how that when that happens, it gets to a point where now they're bringing in more forces,
Hello.
more
Hello.
I hear you.
We
we hear you. More opposition on top of the opposition. You know what I mean? Like, and you already know how if you don't know, now you know how they give it up. So it's just like to minimize casualties. That's where my mind is at. Like, I don't care about looting. I don't care about all of that. But I do care about how people are moving out here. Our people are moving out here during these peaceful protests, because at the end of the day, they'll take the littlest reason, and they'll find it to use it to their means to an end.
Understand.
So
so Joe, if you don't know, this is Will. This is Sarah.
Hi, Joe.
Yeah, how y'all doing?
What's up, Joe?
She's got a couple of people coming in and out. We want to kind of like get some information, get some insight on other people and what they might think of what's going on
Right.
in the news today, what's going on with these protests, what's going on with the way we're being viewed, what's going on, what we're fighting for, pretty much. And that's kind of wanted to get, some insight and see what you were maybe had on your mind.
All right. So basically, right now I feel like it's kind of like fighting like two battles right now. While trying, like, you got the Black Lives Matter movement. They're really just trying to just accomplish. Their main goal is honestly the peaceful protest. As you can see, I've been up and down Twitter fucking every single day. It's the exact same thing. It's the peaceful protest. That's the ones who you really see are out there actually doing what they're saying. They're the Martin Luther Kings that everybody wants, right? And then if you look at the other side, you got the looters and the rioters. When you would think it would be the angry Black Lives Matter movement, but it's not. It's these kids, these white kids who are coming in from out of town and doing it for like recreation. They're doing it for sport. And of course, the media that hates this as a whole, they don't want us to be doing this. So anything that ends up in destruction, this could automatically get pointed towards us. And frankly, I don't think it's fair, but it's part of the battle that we're fighting right now.
That's true. I think that like when they see those kids, those outer towners or whatever they call them, agitators and stuff, when they see them start, it's over. And then some people want to jump in, and then they know that too, and they write. Like I've seen white people write Black Lives Matter on walls, and Black people chase them away because they don't want them to be vandalizing, because they always get the blame for that.
Right.
They do.
So I definitely agree with that. How do you feel about the curfew in New York City right now? It went from 11 p.m. yesterday to 8 p.m. today.
I feel like personally they're getting really desperate. They didn't
definitely
expect
are.
people to come out here in these wide numbers for days on end and just keep going at them again and again and again. And frankly, they're getting to a point where they're panicking. They're like, "Yo, we got to get these people off the streets." So
Yeah.
they're going for any means necessary. So if they gotta say that it's a 24-hour curfew and everybody has to stay home, like I feel like they will go to that extent if just to get to the point that they want this to stop.
Hmm.
But they gotta have to understand at some point that this is not gonna stop until we get what we want, or we get even just a resemblance of what we want, just to be heard, just to understand that like you guys know why we're doing this. Like, give us something, let us know that, give us a reason to stop. We're not just gonna stop voluntarily.
Yeah,
It
and
is kind of like my takeaway, and y'all can let me know if y'all agree. But not my takeaway, my thoughts. I've always had this thought that we in the past up to now could have always been ahead of the ball when it comes to things like this. If you talk to me about certain things, I'm not really with the trends. If you talk to me about the newest Jays, I'm not gonna know. If you say, "Oh, you saw the Fools," like I'm not gonna know what you're talking about. I have to see a picture. Like if you told me about these new artists that come out today, I'm not gonna know their names because a lot of them aren't really for us. You know what I'm saying? If you talk about the most expensive things you can buy, probably won't know any name brands and stuff like that. But the thing is that we see our community divide each other over and separate, like, you know, the things that we put our interest in and our money into as opposed to what we could. Like, these are the things that kind of fuel the oppression. This is not things that Black people are pushing out to our own people. This is things that white people are pushing to us to gauge our interest. Like, this is what they want us to be focused on. When you talk to someone and be like, "Oh, don't do that, don't do this," either their comeback is always going to be, "Oh, you must not got no bread. Like, I don't got to working on, it's not even like that. You just hate and you bugging, Bob." It's always some type of pushback when you try to be the voice of reason. But it takes times like this for people to actually try to, and even now in a time like this, we're not even united. Like, there's people that are still divided at this point in time, and we're fighting for the same thing. So I don't know. Like, we got to learn how to one, stay within our community and not get caught up in these social media trends. We got to stay within our community, and even if we don't agree, understand why this person is doing what they're doing. We might not agree with the people who are willing to be violent, but that don't mean that you got to shun them or delete them or shut them out. Like, understand, we fighting for the same thing, and also understand that you can't blame everyone and their moms when you have people in your community that are being willingly ignorant and willingly oppressed. Some people don't care. So we gotta.
we're more
What's your thoughts on
united
that?
than ever.
You think we're more united than ever right now?
Yeah,
Nah.
Right now,
because
hell
right
yeah.
now, and because of, I think social media is obviously a big platform, which is why people were mad at that, like hashtag Black Lives Matter, because they were just getting all this useful information lost in the crossfire, and that could have been a tactical thing to do, obviously, because now people don't know where to go, where to get their resources. But I've seen strangers hand out food to each other, water to each other, medical assistance. I've seen organizers do their best in making these protests come together and be something. Because without the organizer, people are not going to come.
Right.
There's power in
Absolutely.
numbers. You've seen them outside.
Yeah, I definitely feel like we're more united now than we ever have been, honestly. Because even when you think about the peaceful protesters, where you like look at like how they view the riders, like they understand, you know what I'm saying? They understand what they're writing about. They're angry. At the end of the day, they're angry and they have every right to be angry. So you really can't tell people how to express their anger. You know, some people go out and march, some people want to go out and break some shit.
I'm watching. Go ahead, Will.
I feel like we really aren't united as people think. I feel like movements like situations like this bring us together, but it doesn't unite us. There's a difference.
Tell me the difference.
Yeah, black people, we're not, the reason why we're not united is because we don't have uh a united base that we stand on. We like, because if you notice any other point in time in our lifetime when there's been a police shooting, like we rioted, we did the whole thing in March, but when it was over, it was over. When the cop got acquitted, it was over. We dispersed and we went back to our normal lives. Like, and I'm
Was
not
it
saying that, and
over?
I'm not,
Or
and
were
I'm
you
not
just
I don't
working
think
talking
it
about
within the
was
that
system?
over.
situation. that situation was over, and
It
then
would
we
be.
went home. Yeah, but but we came together, but we weren't united together. Something brought us together. We were never united before that.
I
You
kind
feel
of get
me?
what you're saying. I get what you're saying in
Like
that aspect.
the reason why is because when when segregation was disbanded, people like our people were just literally spread apart. There was no nucleus that was kept intact after that point in time. So you have people who, like you said, who are willingly ignorant, who don't care or don't have any desire to want to see any change. They just want to live out their life. There's people who are doing it for the clout. There are people who are doing it because they don't know what else to do. Like they haven't been led in the right direction to
There are
utilize.
those people, but they are not the majority.
But
Well,
I'm trying to give you a scope. I'm trying to give you a scope of why we're not united the way y'all think. I think that we're together, but we're not united. Because if we if we were united, we'd have been we've been beating the dog shit out of these white people that was trying to make it seem like we was fucking up property all over the place.
I do get
I
what he's
mean,
saying. I do get what he's saying. He's
Like
saying that you
they
only.
would have never came in and disrespected. That's disrespectful. Like that's disrespectful because not only are you tarnishing a message that we're trying to get across, you're also putting lives in danger. Like you're creating a narrative that we didn't even create, and now you're putting our lives in danger when people just want to peacefully protest.
it's kind of tough, and it's
It's very
in
tough.
this day and age to be united, right? Like there's so many things, so many different variables. When you look online, you don't even got to go too far. You see it in your own neighborhoods, but everyone has their view, and we're so caught up in. It's tough because you want to have a conversation with someone, but if you don't agree with me, a lot of times it goes somewhere it don't need to go. So I don't agree with you, and we trying to debate, and that turns into something big. And we talking about the same thing when we can't see it because we can't see eye to eye on this small topic. So that means that either we're gonna stop talking right now, or we're gonna just stop talking forever. Like that's how it happens. It's usually people are deleting each other off of, oh, this you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. That's not the right way. No, how you gonna tell me it's not the right way? And I'm watching threads of black people arguing with black people about the same shit. Like they have the same common interest, but they can't see it, right? There's so
Mhm.
many things that, like I said, it takes moments like this. It took George Floyd. This once again, this is not about George Floyd, but it took George Floyd's death, right, for people to come together, right? But y'all keep saying, say their names, say their names, say their names. We know, and we know, we say it all the time that this doesn't just happen once in a while. This happens every day. They decide when they give you a name for their narrative. Um, we keep going back to these same names. We keep going back to these same problems, and we keep coming together whenever they put it in the news, right? We could be activists, and we can come together like this all the time, right? This could have been happened. We shouldn't have to wait on something. And even then, like I said, if you don't agree with someone that's protesting, right? If you think that peaceful protesting will get the job done, then you keep doing your part. Not everybody's out,
Everybody has
out
a part to play.
protesting. Some people are out just spreading information on social media. That helps. The more people that you can try to see, or more white people you can put this. People are going to delete you, right? People are going to delete you, but they can't escape it. Everywhere they
Right.
go, they're going to see it somewhere. I want everyone to understand that. Whether you don't like this message or that message, understand we all fighting for the same thing. We want the same things. But I don't know. I
Nah,
feel,
to
But
your point,
how do you suppose you make people united, William?
uh, how it
How?
starts. It starts really in the home. It starts in the house, and then another thing about our people too. we and this is not me judging our people, but this is just me observing our people. Like there's a lot of we fall short in a lot of categories, which makes us not a strong people. You know what I mean? Like as far as our foundations are set up, they're standing on weak foundation. Our structure. So it starts in the house. first and foremost. You have to instill in your kids that when you see another black person, you show them respect and love. We don't do that. We don't do that. Some people don't even love their own kids. They don't love their own grandkids. Like it can get deep to how much we're already divided, even in the house. So it starts in the house, and then
Why?
it translates into the school system. So like making sure that um if you have your kid and there's another black kid, black or brown kid, that they are intermingling with each other. So at least they build a camaraderie, they build a friendship, they get to know each other. Like,
We want parents to make sure that happens.
well, until
Yeah, like that's fair to
I'm
say
with
at
you
hold
could
on,
do
all.
hold on,
that.
hold on,
I'm with
hold
you
on.
could do that.
Until they're at an age where they can decide, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about little kids. I'm not talking about
Even
Nah,
so, even
school.
I
so,
know,
that
but at
change
the
don't
same
come.
time, you trying to go in a daycare and be like, yo, you see that little black kid over there,
Yeah,
go
go
play with him.
talk to him.
That's
Yo,
like, you know what I'm
yo,
saying?
yo,
You
yo,
look kind
yo,
of
yo. But this the thing. There's the thing. I know it sounds crazy, but in a lot of cases, we have to be very intentional about everything that we do. Like we don't know. Like a lot of us don't know, but we are in wartime right now.
right.
We are in a
Oh, we
psychological,
know.
biological warfare.
But it's been
And
that
it's
way.
like it's been that way, but people think that like people have this idea that, oh, the next war that's going to happen is going to be this big parade. No, they set seeds early and they watch them shits blossom. Just like we should do the same thing. But it's like, and the reason why I said, oh, making sure that the black and brown kids in the classroom like have some type of camaraderie or friendship is because that's community building.
Mm.
I was just
Yeah,
thinking about
yeah, go
saying,
ahead.
you said community building. I would say, like, instead of like putting that pressure more so on the parents, you know what I'm saying, we should have more community leaders, things like that. The people that organize things within the community, you know what I'm saying?
I know.
Kind of like block parties and barbecue, you know, just fun stuff that pop up that, you know, that adults will love, kids will love going to, all of that stuff. If you're talking about uniting us.
Hold on,
No,
one
that,
second,
that
one
and that
second. Go ahead. You can answer that, but we got a couple more minutes with him. So I want the same question Sarah asked, or if he wants to diverge into something else, just want to let him get some stuff off his chest before we got to switch. So
I think that was a good point, your block parties and everything, but then those big events like block parties are policed by officers, and then
Right.
people don't want to do that. But that is a good idea, and I think that organizers are needed, but
I think
you
that
could
also come
continue.
along with, like, you know, like it'll come with events like this. It come along with evolution, you know. So, you know what I'm saying, kids are not going to forget this. Kids growing up are not going to forget these
Hmm.
moments. So they're going to grow up like, hey, you know, maybe I want to be a police officer. Maybe I want to be a lawyer. Maybe I want to be a judge. Maybe I want to run for one of my state offices. You know, things like that, things along those lines. So, I think these moments like this, even if we don't get our immediate gratification, we'll end up getting it in the long run, you know, because evolution will continue. The kids will see this. The adults won't forget. You know, it'll all just progress in the right direction.
Yeah,
That's how just my optimistic heart
that's
feels
how you
about it.
feel.
That's my
that's how you
how I
feel.
feel about it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I don't think it's going to be instant. I think the next generation after us, kids younger than us, are going to be like way more of a force than we are. I'm not
Right.
going to front, like, and I'm not discrediting what we're doing. My little cousin's 13 years old. She's damn near a Black Panther. Like, since we took her to see Queen and Slim, she's been like so conscious and aware of things. She's been talking about it at 13, and I'm like, yo, at 13, like, this was not even an issue
Wasn't
for
even
me.
worried
Like,
about this.
I wasn't thinking about it at all. I'm thinking
No,
about what I'm gonna do this weekend,
I'm worried
and
about
like,
playing Pokemon and whatnot.
exactly. And that could be like a testament to social media because there's more information available to her at the
Right.
ready.
It's at their fingertips. Is great.
Yeah, but I definitely agree with what Joe said.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree that it's part of it. Like that falls in line with the community building. But one thing that gets lost is the self accountability. Like, because if you say, oh nah, we don't need to do it in our homes, we need a community leader. You have now just shifted your responsibility to community build to
I get
somebody
what you're
else. You
saying.
feel
I
me?
get what
Like,
you're saying.
but you're not wrong though. You're not wrong. But it's some people can use that as, oh, I don't have to worry about it.
Well, no, I'm not. I
Mhm.
wasn't thinking about it more so as a shift, more of like a division. You know what I'm saying? You're divvying up that responsibility. You know what I'm saying? Because at first it sounded like you were pinning it solely on inside the household, where you know what I'm saying you put all that responsibility on the parent. Well, yes, that is their child, that is their responsibility, but you know what I'm saying they gotta experience the world without their parents. So you know,
Right.
if you have your parents, you have your community leaders, you divvy up that responsibility.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
kids gonna grow up, they're gonna be together. You're gonna have the kids who fucking play basketball and football for 10, 11 years together. You know what I'm saying? Go through the high school ranks together. You know, things like that. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't disagreeing with you. I was basically just saying, like, don't put it all on one, don't put it all on the other. Let's spread the wealth to everybody.
Fact.
And there's different factors as to why it's hard to start it in the home, because there are a lot of Black families who don't have stable households or homes, and that could be because of like the prison industrial complex, or that just could be because, I don't know, their parents are divorced or whatever.
Mhm.
But for me, growing up in a predominantly white neighborhood, I feel like, in my opinion, we definitely gravitated towards other Black kids. Like, it wasn't even a question for us. It was like, say less. Like, you're the same color. That's what it is. Like, and I know you grew up in the Bronx, so I'm thinking like it had to be this.
Oh,
You.
I mean, I was blessed and fortunate to be around a whole lot of Black folks.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of different because, like, for somebody like, I'm sorry, am I done, Brittany?
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
go.
Oh, okay, my
Finish
fault,
your
my
thoughts,
fault,
and then we got a
I'm
couple
about
of
to
people
say.
coming in.
All right, Ben, let me just give you this last point. Yeah, so somebody like myself, I grew up in, like, you know, multiple locations. You know what I'm saying? Grew up around white people. I lived in Jersey around the Indians. I lived in Georgia around a bunch of Black people. So you know what I'm saying? I'm not really sure, like, if it's that you gravitate to people that are more like you, but like Sarah was saying, like, when you're like in the classroom, you're sitting back looking at everybody. You're like, you gotta go with a familiar face. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You gotta go with what makes you comfortable. So going inside the schools, I feel like you should just, well, you're gonna have that camaraderie, like, off the bat, basically. Just, yeah, because somebody that just looks like you know.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Right.
When I first came from the Bronx, like, I started kindergarten in the Bronx, and then I moved. And that was like the first time I experienced culture shock, because I was like, yo, nobody looks like me. Like, I never even considered a white person before, because it's just not in my environment. And then I was like, found myself being the only Black person in the room, and I was like, yo, what is going on? But I think it's definitely something kids notice at a young age.
Yeah, you
Maybe
definitely
parents,
notice being the only Black one in the room.
No, that's a
exactly.
fact.
Maybe
Definitely
parents
notice
don't articulate it in that way. That might be what you're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that is still like felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It-
All right, Joe.
Appreciate you,
I appreciate
Joe.
you coming on, for real.
Appreciate you guys having
Hopefully we
me.
get you into some future episodes as well.
Most
Yeah.
definitely, Brandon. You
Great
know, just let me
perspectives.
know.
Copy.
You know, Sarah, William, it's nice meeting you
Nice
guys.
to meet you,
It's
Joe.
me, you know.
You guys
Stay
have a
safe.
great. You too. Stay
Stay
dangerous, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
All right, so we got a man named Brian Cuts. Different perspective. He's white, but he's also been on social media, like, blasting out, you know, the races that he finds. He's been supporting. I just want to get a little bit of a insight from that perspective, and what it may be like on that front, being an ally of the cause. So I'm gonna bring him in real quick.
Will Sippins tea.
No, I'm good.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm messing with you.
Hey, what's going on?
Hello.
Hi, Brian.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Sarah.
So we've just been talking about everything that's going on nowadays, and Will informed us that you are heavy into the cause right now and what's happening. And I was just wondering, what do you feel like you've done to contribute to, I don't know how you feel, I don't know where you stand on it, but what have you done to contribute and play a role into what's happening right now?
Sure. So first, maybe let me explain my take on how I feel as a white person in what my role is. Okay. So there's no mistaking about how we should be handling this as white people. Okay. So there's this thing called a white savior complex. So I want to get this part out of the way right to begin with. I don't believe that we should be having a white savior complex. Okay. So, and here's why. What we have here is a white morality issue. Okay. This is a white people problem. This is a problem for Black people, but it's a white people's problem. And it's for them to solve. It's not for you to solve. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's a problem for you, yes. But the solutions.
Or donating, or
Okay, so my thing now is, we had a protest in Asbury Park, New Jersey. I did not go.
okay.
I regret that on some level. I could probably give you a list of reasons that you might think are valid, including COVID.
There are definitely a lot of reasons. 'Cause I haven't been to any either, to be honest, but you could still contribute without being outside on the front lines.
Exactly. So I'm there to spread the message that for people that do want to go. Okay. I'm there to support the people that want to go. Okay. I'm there to support everybody that wants to get involved, to encourage them that if they're even thinking about it, they should go. If they're kind of, they're not sure if they should go, they want to go, I encourage them to go. Okay. I have friends that speak at these rallies. I learn from them. They're at the forefront of this. I don't consider myself a person that's at the forefront like them. I learn from them. I get inspired by them. So let me explain first kind of what I was talking about, this white morality issue, and a white savior complex. We need to get rid of that. We need to break that cycle in our minds as white people that we're doing this for you. We're not. We shouldn't be. We should be doing this for us. Okay? We should be doing this to make society as a whole better for everyone, including ourselves. Because if we start looking at it that we're doing this for Black people, that's when you start having a white savior complex. Okay? We're here to fight with you. We're here to stand with you. Okay? But we're not here to save you from anything. We're here to save ourselves.
So your role in this is passing down information and encouraging the right resources, I guess, to other people who might not be as informed as you are.
Yeah, to break this mindset. Okay? Because I think once we break that mindset and we can start having people think about it differently, white people think about it differently. And
I like that.
They actually do have some skin in this game. Okay? Because who wants to raise children in a society that doesn't treat everybody equally? Okay?
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Sure.
You said, I agree with a lot of your points. I just want to know for the white people that you encounter that don't have a clue what you're talking about, or they have that confused gaze look on their face. How is the message of this is more for the saving of us, the correcting, the bettering of us? How do you get that message across?
Well, I mean, how we have to live together. We have to. There's no way around that. Okay? You can't separate us in this society. We all have to live together, right? So if I want this world to be a better place, if I want when I go down the street to not see certain things, to not feel a certain way. Okay, we have to fix that. Okay, and we cause that. We cause that. We cause that through. I mean, I don't have to preach to you guys. Okay, I am, a big advocate for reparations. Okay, I'm not big advocate for handing out money. I'm big advocate for fixing a problem that we caused. Okay, if you talk about generational wealth, that has been stripped from Black people. Education, families, your name, that's all been stripped. We need to do what we can to restore that in the Black community. We need to empower Black people for the betterment of society.
So is that the that's what you say to white
That's,
people?
yeah, I straight up, this is what I say. This is what how I'm speaking to you is how I speak. Okay.
I'm sure you get a lot of white people who disagree with you.
And that's what I was about to say.
absolutely.
I feel like being white and being a supporter, a lot of us are so angry, right? A lot of us are so upset that we lash out at everyone and lose sight of who may be an actual ally, or who, is or who's just pretending for social media, because we have that
Right.
all over the place. For you, when you see, let's say, when you get that backlash, because I'm sure you do, when you show that you're trying to support and you have people, how does that like affect you or make you not like have those thoughts like maybe I should just not like?
Listen, you know what I fall back on? I can tag out anytime I want and take a break from this because I'm white. Y'all can't. Okay. I can tag out and say, I've had enough for today or tomorrow. I need to take a break from this for 2 days. I'm out for a little while and I can recoup and regather myself mentally and physically. Okay. You can't do that.
How do you feel about the way the media portrays things like the looting and the rioting going on outside? Because a lot of people who are actually there have said it's been started by white people or it's been started by undercover cops. And then when someone sees someone going, it's like monkey say, monkey do, and people start to follow that. So how do you feel about the media manipulating the narrative?
I think there should be a big difference between a protester and a looter. You should not be calling protesters looters because they're not the same thing.
Opportunists.
Okay. And they know what they're doing. They're putting a match to the powder keg, putting pallets of bricks out on the street. Where do these pallets of bricks come from? They're just sitting there waiting for someone to pick up and throw them. There's white men smashing windows and walking away. There's white women spray painting Black Lives Matter on buildings. No, nobody asked you to do that. Who's going to get blamed for that? You are, not the white woman that did it. Okay, so there's a lot of subversiveness going on. There's a lot of big efforts to discredit this movement.
Definitely tactical. Do you think the military should be out there?
No, the military should not be out there.
Absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. What is their role here? And oftentimes there's peaceful. I mean, you look at peaceful. I have people on the ground in Philadelphia protesting peacefully. Eyewitnesses. They're peaceful, and all of a sudden they get tear gas thrown on them. For what?
Mm-hmm.
There's peaceful protesters that the cops are flanking them, outmaneuvering them, splitting them up, getting them into small groups, and getting physical with them. For what? For what? They're not doing anything. Yeah, because they know what's coming.
Yeah.
They say, and then an idea whose time has come is unstoppable.
That's true. Well,
You gonna say something, Will?
Yeah, Will I was waiting for you.
I just wanted to ask, what do you feel like is the white people's role in their interacting interacting with the police, with police officers, with law enforcement, as far as when
Yeah,
situations can get awry or
right.
whatever the case may be.
If they're brave enough to use their whiteness, to use their white privilege as a shield.
What if they don't believe
Okay.
that white privilege is a thing?
Well, you shouldn't be there then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to
If you,
argue that it's not when those people who were protesting against haircuts literally had guns in their hands and nothing happened to them. And then
of
these
course.
Black Lives Matter protesters have all these crazy things happening to them. So it's
Yeah.
hard to deny your privilege, but how comfortable do you feel, again, because I know you must get a lot of white people who disagree with you.
Right.
How do you react to that disagreement? Do you just walk away? And how comfortable do you
No,
feel? How
I don't walk
comfortable?
away.
You don't walk away, you fight.
I don't fight either.
You
It's not a
then
fight. I don't look at it like a conflict. Okay. I don't look at it like I'm going to fight you over this. Okay. I'm just going to keep being what I'm being and keep saying what I'm saying till you get it. I mean,
do you
that's
feel
just that.
comfortable enough to say these things to people in, I don't know, your family or your friends or your
Absolutely.
certain circle?
Absolutely. I'm very fortunate that the people that I surround myself with are like-minded, for the most part. It's when I run into maybe a neighbor or an occasional family member, you know, that just doesn't get it, that we gotta chop it up. We gotta get into it, you know. And if that means that, you know, you don't like me after that, I don't really care, honestly.
Yeah, so be it.
Yeah. I think, like, once again, history is an important thing to know. Knowledge and true education. Like, we've never ever been alone. It's like, you know, some people want to make it just as like everybody, it's just black people.
No.
And it can't be that. We need allies everywhere. It's one it's not just black, it's all minorities in this country that we should be embracing too. And then we also need the white allies that we can get. We can't shun them all, and we have to be able to distinguish without being rash. Like, it has to be some type of, like Will was saying, a plan, right? Like, you can't just go into things like it's us versus the world, because it's not that, and you'll never get anything done that way. So I appreciate, for real, you know, I post things, and I know you give your input, your support. I know my stepfather knows you. He actually gave me your information before a while ago. He wouldn't have done that, you know, had he not judged your character already. So, like, I already know that people like you is people that we need to help us fight, and it can't just be us by ourselves. So
Yeah, we
I don't want to give
definitely.
you the wrong picture about who I am.
yeah,
Okay. So this is not who I've always been. Okay. This is not who I've always been. All right. It's through a lot of personal experiences, catalysts throughout my life that have brought me to this point.
When you
Okay.
say this is not how you always been, does that mean you were raised to think a certain way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely by my father. I have Southern roots. I was born in
Oh, yeah.
Louisiana. So I definitely have some family members that live in the deep South. Those are the ones I probably come in most conflict with over this. My mother, different story. So fortunately, my parents were divorced at a very young, when I was very young, and I you know, I don't know if you're familiar with Neptune, New Jersey, but that's the high school I went to.
Mm-hmm.
I was the minority. So our valedictorian was a black man. Our class president is a black man. Okay. So this isn't the type of experiences that I grew up with, unlike a lot of white people that live in their kind of bubble, and their experiences with black people are very different than mine. when I was 8 years old, a black man saved me from drowning. I tried to swim ashore from my dad's boat. Got tangled up in some seaweed. Man came out from the shore and pulled me in. So these are my experiences. Some of my experiences that are much different than your average white person. And I think they've helped to shape who I become. And the people that I surround myself with, they check me. They've checked me in the past and said, hey, what you're saying, what you just said is not cool. That's not funny. That's not a joke. So I've had good people around me that have put me in check along the way,
Right.
and helped me to grow.
Even in those experiences, though, everyone, I feel like everybody has these premeditated notions about everyone else. That's the point of being human, is to allow yourself to grow. So when I do believe, like, yes, when you say that, like, that doesn't make me think any less of you, because at one point you may have thought differently about me. But
It shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you're able to grow as a person, right? That's what it's all about. That's what I feel like, and you are proof that it can happen, right? So when I try to understand why I'm talking, and I see a lot of white people make these like disgusting posts, and you give them something so simple to understand, such a simple cause, and it's like they can't fathom, and it's like, I don't, it's not that they can't, they don't want to, and that's where it is. That's where that's how I understand it. You can do it, you don't want to.
Yeah.
So
that's how I feel about Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter. I didn't mean to put the quotations for Black Lives Matter, by the way, but it's literally a contradiction. Like, the whole argument does not make sense that you're fighting me about this, because if all lives matter, then inevitably Black lives would matter too.
Exactly.
But like you said, they don't want to hear that. They literally choose not to listen.
And this is what we need to understand. Another thing we need to understand as white people is that, when black people are proud of being black, that's nothing against white people. That's nothing against us.
Yeah, because like I get like perfect example when Black Panther came out, the movie, and we like black people, all people of color were going insane over the movie. Like, we had a lot of opposition across the board, and it's one thing where the threat of just celebrating culture can be a thing for white people, but to celebrate a fictional movie,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, that was a moment where I was like, okay, like, enough is enough, like, kind of situation where it kind of put a change in me to where if I ever encountered a white person that said something off kilter, that I would have to correct that person, rightfully so, in that moment, because there's so much that we're suppressed with,
Mm-hmm.
not even be able to enjoy a movie. Like,
Right. Like, yeah. Like, why can't you have anything? You know what I mean? That's yours. White people always got to step in and mess it up.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's the way I look at it. Like, I was almost kind of like hesitant to come on here, honestly, because this is your platform for you, right? So I didn't want to come on here, and hijack your platform. I already told Brandon that, I'm not here to hijack your platform.
Right.
This is your platform. This is your.
I wanted you on when you offered to. I thought having that perspective, and people maybe seeing a white person give their input on how they support, or how they go about supporting, or whatever tribulations they go through in their life, that may you need to hear it. You need to know it's possible. I'm all for. I'm open minded. I'm very open minded. people get on me sometimes. They think I'm on the fence. I'm very open-minded, and I'm all about Black lives, all that. But I also know we can't do it by ourselves. So we can't make that change. Like you said, we can advocate for it, but unfortunately, we're in the position where, once again, it's not us who can make that change. So we do need that help. We do need allies. So your
See, I'm
think-
still
perspective helps.
uncomfortable with that. I'm still uncomfortable with what you're saying, that you need help, that you
No, no,
need
no, no,
allies.
no. What I
This is
say,
the mindset that needs a break. You know, that shouldn't
yeah.
be the message to white people. The message to white people is this is your problem. You need to fix this.
When I say we need help, I don't mean like we're looking for it. What I mean is, do you believe that we have the power to actually change the system, or is
Yes,
it white people that ultimately are going to be able to change that system?
the white people are the only one that are going to be able to change the system.
So what I mean by that, when I say we need help, I mean we need the support, and we need more people that are
Right.
open-minded and willing to help. Like you, if you speak out and you can change, you have more power to change a white person's ideals than I do. Like you can.
Absolutely.
So we need that. And I
I
feel
think
like
Brandon, sorry,
go ahead,
but
go ahead.
correct me
No.
if I'm wrong. I think your idea of help is you need more white people to speak up within their community, not within ours,
That's the
because
only
we
way.
know what's wrong. We've
Right.
experienced what is wrong, and I want to thank you personally, because Black people are definitely tired about telling white people why they're so angry all the time.
Exactly.
And we
And
shouldn't be looking to you for solutions.
Okay,
yeah,
thank
Because
you.
I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of subtleties to this that you don't understand because you're not in the same rooms as someone like me.
Exactly, which is why I
Right.
asked
Okay.
you earlier if you were comfortable with correcting someone in your particular circle, because I'm sure you've heard
Oh, yeah,
a lot of things in your life that oppose how you believe.
absolutely. And there's been a lot of times I was silent,
Mm.
you know, and those days are over.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
just have one more question. So for white people who you feel the need to correct it and educate,
right.
do you subscribe them to Jane Elliott as a source?
Yeah, I shared your link today. I mean, I've been aware of Jane Elliott for a while. Okay. And when you said to me, when you posted that, and I said, yeah, she's a legend. I've known about her for a while. And you said, now go out and tell your friends immediately. I said, okay, I don't see that as you telling me what to do. I see, and it's a small thing for me to do to share a link and to spread this. You know what I mean? Like,
I
how am I not
appreciate
going
that.
to do something that, we also got to look to Black people in a way for a little bit of guidance here, because we don't always do things correctly, like the woman spraying Black Lives Matter on the wall. She might have thought she was doing something good, but when a Black person came on and put her in check and said, hey, listen, we're not asking you to do that for us.
I'm so glad you said that. I think that's important to know too. It's like,
Yeah.
listen to the Black organizers. If you want to be,
Mhm.
like, if you really think Black Lives Matter, let us lead. Definitely support us. We could use the support. There's definitely power in numbers, but you have to listen to the people who've experienced this to know, because you're never going to know how it is,
No.
but you could try to understand.
So the only way I can't experience racism. Okay. So the only way I can begin to feel this is if somebody close to me, somebody I care about experiences this, shares that with me, and through empathy, I can share their pain. Okay.
Not even necessarily, because you feel George Floyd's pain and you don't know him.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're right. I don't know him, but if we start getting closer, the real problem is dehumanization.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to humanize Black people. That's the first
Do
thing that needs to happen.
you know that a lot that the Constitution still upholds the 3/5 law clause?
The 3/5.
Yeah, like 3/5 of human clause that they had back in after slavery during Reconstruction, during the
Explain
Mississippi
that to me.
Compromise. Okay, so when you had states back in colonial times when then like states were claiming that they were not slave states and they were slave states. Missouri was the last of the states to come into the union.
Right.
So the the compromise for them to come in because they wanted to hold on to slavery was
Right.
to submit the proposal to count uh, a black person as 3/5 of a person, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
and hence the 3/5 law. Um, and that's still upheld to this day, and especially in
That I
certain
did not know.
states.
I did not know that. I did know that there was any new states they did not want to allow to have slavery.
Yeah.
So that there was a big conflict over that.
Hmm.
But I did not know about 3/5. So I'll be looking into that one. Thank you.
But it's just things like this
Yeah.
that you can use in your arsenal when people say, "Oh, things are getting better and we're progressing," just so you can have a point of reference to go to,
Right.
um,
Right.
and in those types of situations and
Yeah.
conversations.
What's on our law books is one thing. How we treat people is another.
Exactly.
You know.
That's also
So
true too. Like it's the bare minimum to be a decent human being to others.
yeah.
It's like you don't need to know about Black history to treat anyone like a human being or like how you want to be treated. Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Absolutely. You're surprisingly quiet, Brandon. You usually dominate these
Nah,
conversations.
I like listening. I just like sometimes it's a time to speak and sometimes it's just time to listen and observe. So,
Right.
um, uh, everything you're saying, like I said, I have no issue with it.
So
Spot
And
so
on.
you guys did ask me a question point blank. What am I doing? Right.
Mm.
Mhm.
So one of the things I'm doing is I I I'm supporting Black business. Okay. I'm
It's
making an
always a
effort
good thing.
to support Black business and not just support it, but to spread that message too to my friends, not just my Black friends, to my white friends. Why can't I, as a white person, support a Black business?
What are
Specifically to uplift and empower that part of our society that is the most downtrodden, to lift up society as a whole.
and it's probably a local business, so that's another plus.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how are we not doing this for us? That's the part that blows my mind, is how are we not doing this for us?
That's
it's once again, I don't know. I feel like
it's a lot of.
it's
Were you talking about for us or?
no,
No,
it's talking about for
no,
them.
white people. How are white people not doing this for white people?
Um,
That's what blows my mind. It's like, this is, you want to live in a world where everybody is at peace and everybody shares in the wealth and everybody has something and doesn't need to steal, doesn't need to rob, doesn't need to beg, doesn't need to be on welfare. You want that? You want that, right? So how are we not doing this?
fear unknown. Lack of information. The information, the misguided information I was given.
Right, right,
Um, like it that's a conversation that I rarely really crossed my mind because there's so many other conversations to be had beforehand.
right.
I think that part of economic empowerment, and because of how history plays out, is to blatantly like get out of the way. Because a lot of the time it's not the fact that we don't know how to or we are in need, it's just the fact that sometimes when black and brown people try to elevate themselves economically, there's always a roadblock waiting for them. There's always
Absolutely.
there's always there's always a caveat that makes it that much harder for them to succeed, to maintain. So
Mm.
just to if you want to support, if you want to broadcast, like go ahead, do your thing. But a lot of it is to give the same treatment, the same rights, the same opportunity that you would give to a small white business owner, that give that to a small black business owner, or a
Right.
small like a small minority business owner, whatever the case may be. Yeah,
But there's been a domino effect since slavery.
true,
Okay,
very true.
so we have to make an effort in order to pick the dominoes back up,
Hmm.
right? So we have to do more than just treat everybody the same,
Right.
okay, at this point.
Yeah, that's an effort. I feel like that's an effort that needs to be made. It's an eternal battle. Like you said, and like Will said, both of you hit on the same point. It starts in the home. Like you said yourself, your upbringing and what Will said. A lot of people are born to think of other people a certain way. In this country's history and what it still does today, as it um, establishes territories across the world, is they don't want to let go of a territory because they need those people. They need
Right.
their resources. They don't want to let go of certain people in this country because they do the jobs that they need to be done that they don't want to do. It's looked at as you see someone of color, any
Right.
minority that has a lot. It's looked at as like, oh, how did this person, why did this? It's like you don't necessarily want to see them better than you. You go into somewhere and they may be your boss. Sometimes people look
Right.
at that as like, oh, I don't even want to work there. Like
Yeah.
it's like this premeditated, something that was taught from generations, and it's like, where is going to be that? Everyone talks about the generational break, where like everyone will just have their own ideas and they'll break the racism cycle. But it's just like I grew up around both. Like I had the privilege of being in the city and being upstate, around primarily white people, going to a predominantly white school, and they don't worry about these things because they're the predominantly that's them. Like so I have to now. I can't voice myself because it's looked at as like, what you're complaining, but because they don't see it there. But if you come in like to the city areas, and they were here, they would have no choice but to acknowledge it because it's everywhere. So it's like
Right.
where you grow up and who's where, and then who's going to be smart enough, or who's going to be willing to say, oh, okay, like maybe I was wrong, maybe this isn't the way. But I see, like you were saying, and like Will was saying, it has to be, you have to want to make that change. And I see too many people that won't, and it's like it comes from a place of hate, a
Yes.
place of hate that you probably can never change in that person. And so
Well, yeah, that's why it's important that when I have conversations with other white people about what they're doing, I don't vilify them. Because once you start vilifying them, they're gonna shut off. They're gonna turn off. And they're gonna shut you out of the conversation. And you're not gonna be able to reach them in here or in here. So the same subtle ways that racism finds its way into our hearts and minds, we have to undo it the same way sometimes with some people whose heart is so hard that you got to use subtle measures over a long period of time.
I think most of it too is people just being complacent. Like my neighborhood, it's crazy going outside because it seems like no one cares. And then I turn on the
Right.
news, it's literally it might as well be a whole different country. And they feel like if it doesn't affect me, what's the point of even tuning in to see what's happening?
Right. Well, that's also, you know, that's that privilege we have as white people, is that once we tune out, we're in a whole nother world.
Yeah, no, it is definitely is a whole
We're
nother world.
we're in a whole nother world of comfort that we can retreat to whenever we want. So that's why you say, like, if I do this, how do I handle it? Blah blah blah. If it ever gets to be too much for me, I could just tap out for a day or two, shut off my social media, and when I go out in public, I don't face it, and then I can recover mentally and physically and emotionally, and then get back into it, right? whereas y'all get worn down. This is daily for you, and you can't avoid it. You know, so it's a whole different battle for us than it is for you.
Yeah.
You know.
Quick question before because I got another callie because we've been waiting for a little bit.
Sure,
If I
sure.
may, our names are on the bottom. Would you like me to blank out your name before I post anything?
You
So
can,
I don't know if you want your name out there. So
yeah,
full
man,
name.
this is who I am,
Mhm.
and this is who I am unashamedly.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
So
we
yeah,
appreciate you talking with us. I
Mhm.
personally appreciate you trying to start the
I
work within
appreciate
your
you
own
being. I
community.
appreciate being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
when you share those links and that information, make sure you send links to donate too, because we could definitely use all the money in the world when
I keep
when
fighting,
it comes
Absolutely.
to a cause
keep
like
fighting a good
this.
fight.
Absolutely.
Keep fighting a
We
good fight.
All right,
appreciate you,
guys.
Brian. Thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen,
Thank you.
thank you so much for having me. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you all.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Woo. That was
All right.
that was
New perspective. You're
proper.
pulling out a diverse group of people here.
Yeah.
I like that.
That was dope. I didn't mind having them on at all. Because I just wanted to see. I wanted to get that perspective, and if anyone sees it, it's like maybe understand and be more aware that not everyone, even if they come from a place of maybe they did come from a place where it was a little bit of racism or some hatred, if they were able to grow from that, learn from that, and change their ways and support, that's what it's about. So we can't act like we perfect, like we don't have our premeditated thoughts about certain people, right? So we gotta accept the help where we can get it. This is Aaron, William,
Hey, Aaron.
Sarah. I wanted to
What's
get
up?
them on. Can you
see y'all all here?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So I've been asking everyone, this is my first question I ask everyone when they come on. You're our third person right now. And being with everything that's going on, protests, the conversation surrounding George Floyd, what do you feel like you've done so far to contribute in the cause? Whatever you believe in, I'm not sure what you believe in, but what do you feel like you've done to contribute and play your role?
Just speak out as much as possible. I feel like that's all I can do right now, and just give it up to God at this point, because everything that's been going on, it's just been like a byproduct. It's been situation after situation after situation, and it seems like everybody's getting fed up. So it's like, okay, we need to, something's got to get done, and that reaction.
Is
That
what's happening
reaction.
now.
That's what happens. That's what's
Yeah.
happening.
Have you donated or protested or handed out supplies to people, anything like that?
No, I haven't been at the protests, and I haven't really donated because I don't have that much money to donate.
Nah,
right
I
now.
get it, bro. 40 million people are unemployed right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm still working, but them checks is not that much for me.
Yeah, no, it's
I
not
feel you.
feasible for everyone, but
Yeah.
there's still a role that everyone could play, whether it's sharing information that's useful or
Yeah.
whatever. How do you
So
feel about also the curfew that is placed? Oh, it's 9 o'clock. Technically, people are supposed to be home right now. I'm sure CNN's going crazy right now because I'm sure there's cops enforcing this curfew.
Ain't nobody finna follow that curfew. That's for
Yeah,
damn
no.
sure. There ain't
I mean,
nobody finna follow that damn curfew.
and that they expect that. But I don't know if you follow in the other states. I don't think it's happened in New York yet, but they enforcing it, and they're enforcing it strictly and with
Yeah,
force.
I just heard from a homie of mine that his home state of Texas is having like a curfew.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's gonna be crazy.
You have a stance on where you stand. What's your view on rioters and peaceful protesters alike?
Well, I'm on the side of the peaceful protesters at 100%. I mean, you've got this. This isn't something new. We shouldn't expect this is just happening. No, this has been a buildup. Everybody's been holding all of this in, and there's been situation after situation after situation. And then George Floyd was the straw that broke the damn camel's back. So I'm with the peaceful protesters 100%. Rioting and looting, I've had disagreements with my mom about that. She's under the opinion that, violence with violence doesn't solve anything. And I keep telling her, Mom, I hear you about peaceful protests, but people are angry. People are upset. People are sad. People are doing whatever it is that they got to do now. And if peaceful protests hasn't made anything change, then unfortunately, then, you know, violence, the way that, you know, people are reacting, that's the way that everybody's going to react because, you know.
Just to be clear, are you for peaceful or are you advocating?
No, I'm for
are you
peaceful.
understanding the? Because I don't know if you said that you 100% for peaceful and then you kind of.
No, I'm not 100% for the peace.
So can you understand
protests and everything? But I really can't condemn all the looting and rioting.
Okay.
I can't 100% condemn the looting.
My thing is this: can you separate them, the looters from the rioters? Would you have more respect for the rioters if you could separate the looting from the protesters that are a little more violent than you may like?
I mean, it's kind of tough because on one hand, and I do feel like the looting and everything is a little excessive, but on the other hand, I'm like, people are tired. People are tired of, you know, the same thing happening and them getting no results. So if this is the reaction that they have to do to get change, then, you know, you got to go with it.
I think in theory, everyone wants people to be safe. Like, no one wants to see people getting hurt ever. But at the same time, you have to understand these people's frustration. You have to understand that there are people being peaceful and the cops are escalating it to violent situations. And that's just going to make someone else be violent. Or like, if I see you fight my friend as a cop, if I see a cop fighting my friend, I wouldn't be surprised if other people would jump in, which they have done. Yeah. I've seen videos of them doing it. Yeah, so I don't think anyone wants the violence, but it's gonna happen. So it's because people are mad and they're not being heard and they're frustrated, and cops are also instigating and agitating.
I have a question. Do you feel like it is at this point in time necessary for us to start coming up with feasible plans past protesting, because it always seems to end in a continuous cycle as far as police brutality cases? We protest, we riot, they get acquitted, and then it's just over.
I feel like we need to start planning ahead, doing something to, you know, just get everybody up in like agreement and whatnot. Because if you don't, if we just keep on doing this, then it's gonna get worse before it gets better. I mean, it's already getting worse, but you know, you gotta have some sort of feasible plan, have some sort of like layout to do something, because without it, you know, this ain't really gonna go that much anywhere. That's what I feel like.
Do you think that the solution starts with us, or it starts with younger generations, or like what?
I mean, it can, but it just we have to still go to like the people in power and force them to really change. And you know, they've seen what will happen if they don't end up changing. So I feel like, you know, you got to go to the forces in power and just demand change, because if not, then, you know, Armageddon.
But if you demand change, it's probably going to end up violent if you're demanding and they don't want to hear you.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do at the end of the day. We've tried peacefully for like over this back to like Dr. King and him marching, and then they sprayed him. They started spraying him. So it's like
they killed him.
People are fed up. Yeah, people are fed up. People are tired because this is another thing that kills me about people that want to criticize the protests. I'm like, well, when Colin Kaepernick started taking a knee, y'all were the same people that said that he was disrespecting the flag, even though he told you multiple times that it wasn't about the flag.
Take it a step further. Take it a step further. White people, when he was kneeling and Nike endorsed him, what they did, they started burning their Nike products. Like
Exactly.
it's a-
Exactly. And they want to call black people that's burning stuff, looters and thugs and all that. Who do you think we learned it from?
it's the history of this country.
This is
So-
the history of this country. Like, I don't get it. I don't get why people are so up in arms talking about these thugs, these criminals, luddy-dotty, luddy-dotty. Okay, what did y'all do when the Philadelphia Eagles won the damn Super Bowl?
That's a good point.
Exactly.
I saw a lot of those videos. They were messing up people's cars, getting arrested. They was
Exactly.
doing a lot of
Starting
stupid starting fires. Yeah.
Flyers and all that. Like, it's a bunch of hypocrisy.
Yeah.
That is
Do you,
true.
do you feel like it's our jobs to like point out these hypocrisies on site? Like,
I think
or like just
it's not just our job. It's just something that everybody needs to start waking up and realizing, because it's not like, well, we're the most violent species and whatnot. It's like, dog, y'all did the same thing like not too long ago. Y'all burnt. Whenever LeBron went to a different team, what did y'all do? Burn his damn jersey.
Yeah, that's definitely the narrative that always seems to revolve around Black people whenever they do anything. It's always like, oh, y'all want to be violent or whatever the case.
And then when athletes,
which we all know is a lie, but
Exactly.
when athletes speak out or celebrities speak out, they want them to shut up because apparently because they have money, the oppression doesn't apply to them. When they want to silence their voices and silence the revolts because it's easier. Like I always say, it's easier to shut that down. When they say, why can't you peaceful protest? They're not saying it like you've never peaceful protested. They're pretty much saying, why can't you continue to peaceful protest? Because as you can see, every time we have, they've acted like whatever we were doing was a problem, no big deal. They've silenced it, and it nothing changed. When you start burning things down, when you start violently, I guess you could say aggressively protesting, when you across the nation, you can't control that easily. It's hard. So it's like, why can't you guys just peaceful protest? Not why can't you peaceful protest? Why can't you just peaceful protest? Because we want to suppress you, and we can't do it right now. And
speaking of celebrities, oh, I'm sorry, Brandon.
nah, go ahead.
Speaking of celebrities, did you guys hear about Virgil and his $50 donation?
Yes, I did.
what?
Did you, Will and Brandon?
Nah.
Okay, so
That's
y'all know who
wild.
Virgil is, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, the designer of Off-White and all that.
Like he's a designer for Louis Vuitton. He has his Off-White brand or whatever. Basically, the dude got money, right?
Yeah.
And people were flaming him because I don't know if he only, but he screenshotted his donation and it was $50. And everyone was like, bro, you are somebody with a platform. You're a Black person with a whole lot of money. There's so many people who've donated more than you. Do you feel like they had the right to say that, or a donation is a donation?
Absolutely, they had a right to say that. Look, a donation is a donation, but when you're somebody that doesn't have a lot of money, that doesn't work like at a big company like Louis Vuitton or Off-White or whatever, and $50 is all you can muster, that is different than a literal millionaire donating $50. $50 for a millionaire, that's chump change.
I agree.
Because that is there's always the conversation about celebrity and athlete roles and social justice. Do you feel like the reason why we often get these silent or like low-handed offerings is because of the positions and where they are in their careers or where they work?
Wait, what do you mean?
Because I really don't put unless it's a celebrity or a public figure that I know who built their business, their empire from independently or from the ground up. Like I don't put too much stake in celebrities like doing above and beyond work because a lot of celebrities often have ties to depend on corporate entities
Yes.
for their way of life.
So you don't
So
think they should speak up?
I'm not saying
He's
that,
not
but
saying
I'm
that. He's
saying
saying
that
sometimes it's not in their best interest too.
yeah, like sometimes
Oh,
their hands are tied. You know what I mean?
nah. I think
And
you're a coward, straight up. That's
I
your
mean,
people.
it,
You
it
came from.
is. There's some people
it is, it is.
that there's some people like let's say you in the National Guard, right? Um, and the National Guard is ordered to come into these cities to shut shit down, right? If you're black or if
Mhm.
you're white that supports this movement, you have a moral decision to make, right? You have a decision: are you going to go, or are you going to jail? Right? That's
I'm
your
not
decision.
saying like
No, no, no.
protest.
But
I'm saying
no,
speak up.
I get what you're saying, but everyone has their role in this, right? So in that situation, when you're thinking about that's your choice. Let's say you're not. Let's say they give the order for the guard to come out. You don't. You have two choices: go and follow your orders, or go to jail, right? Because then you're disobeying a direct order.
You're saying if the black person was the National Guard.
I'm saying if a black person or anybody else that supports, we always talk about bad cops, right? Oh, like you're a bad cop if you don't speak up. You're a bad cop if you don't do this. What about in that situation as a black, let's say just black people, let's say as a black person who supports and then all of a sudden gets that order. If they then go and do their job, can you? This is a moral question. Could you blame them for thinking about the consequences?
That is a good question.
No,
I've seen a lot of story. Well, not that many, but I've seen stories where people are like, "My dad was a cop," or "My brother was a cop and he quit because of this instance." And honestly, I want to say I could blame him, but then I seen another video where this white cop pushed a protester who was on their knees, like Colin Kaepernick, like peacefully on their knees in front of him, and he pushed him, and this black woman who's also an officer pushed a cop and like clearly like yelled at him for doing it and reprimanded him for doing it. So as much as I want to be like, black people shouldn't like are sellouts or something for being cops, I realized in that instance, in this particular video, it was a good thing she was there because if she wasn't, who would have stopped him? He could have
Wouldn't
killed her. He could have arrested her. He could
wouldn't
have,
you be a sellout then?
if you were a cop.
In my situation, in that situation too, like wouldn't that be considered a sellout? Right? Like you would to save yourself, then
I mean
you
it in these situations it is.
I'm not
I
saying
feel
it's
like
right or wrong. I don't know the right answer, but
no.
Yeah, that's what I was saying
Um,
too. I realized how complex it is, but I still wouldn't want to be a part of that
it
career.
it goes back to our conversation. That's how you feel. Episode 1, part 1, 2, 3, and 4. Uh,
Shameless plug.
shameless plug. When we were
little drop there. Little
slow
drop.
drop. When we were talking about women's responsibility as far as like the professions that they choose, right?
Mm.
And I sent this to Brandon and a couple other people too. When it comes to the conversations of, oh, like we have to change policing and all this stuff like that, like sometimes you have to understand the origins, the history, to understand why it keeps happening, to understand uh why change doesn't seem to be happening the way it should be or the way it could be. And when it comes to policing, specifically, policing started as catching runaway slaves. They were literally called runaway slave patrol before they were called police officers. So just based on that legacy, that history, when it comes to our people, especially now, I'm like, yo, bro, if you living in these days and times, especially if you're young and you decide to sign up for the army, knowing how they treated um black army men and women uh when they came home from World War II, Vietnam War. Like
Hmm.
it goes, the stories could go on and on. Like my grandfather served in World War II, and he had a lot of his he knew a lot of people who stayed overseas when the wars were over because they were treated more fairly overseas than they were in the United States. He came back and there's redlining, like the GI Bill, like
So
there's so many things that we were excluded from. So when I think about times like those examples, when I think of those examples, I tell people, especially black people, black and brown people, I'm like, so I understand you want to become a police officer to, you know what I mean, be in your community, police your community better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But do you really know the history of policing? Do you educate yourself? Because I know they don't teach you in the
Yeah.
academy.
Mm.
Like,
so what is your viewpoint on people who decide to join, black people that decide to join the army or just decide to become a law enforcer?
I think Will
I
has a good point. I think that there are
I want him to explain the rest of his point before I say he has a good point.
okay.
nah,
Well,
I
go ahead, Will. Go ahead. I'll let you finish it.
you want to finish off that point?
I was gonna say, I think there are people who probably do join the force with good intentions, but it's the system that's messed up. It's the system that needs to be fixed. I'm sure there are cops who are probably like, yeah, I'm gonna save some people. I'm proud of myself or whatever. But it's the whole thing, like Will was saying about policing.
People
and
people do this stuff for the. It gets white people upset when they go, especially when they go through the line. Well, why did you join? Why did you join? Why did you join? You know the answers they be getting. People don't care about the history because they don't care about what they're doing.
That's
Like
also
a lot
true.
of people are joining for selfish reasons. Oh, I need to pay for college. Oh, this is all I had. Like
that's true.
this is the last option.
It doesn't
They
take
don't
much
even
to be a
care.
cop.
They don't exactly. You go to school for 6
It's
months.
bad.
So
But but
Exactly.
I would say one before I answer your question, Brandon. I was in conversations about the same topic, and there was two people in the conversation. One was training, they were both taking tests, one for a correctional officer and the other for a policeman and firefighter. And they said that when they tested, they had like so many psych, like the rigorous, they had rigorous testing. So they had psych evals, they had temperament tests and all that. And they really went above and beyond to understand if they were fit for the job. You know what I mean? But they've come across other white officers who who they know have been gratiated in by somebody in the department because it's that boys club. It's the way things are. It's the way it's almost like a fraternity. The policing, like police uh police stations all
Solidarity.
over, yeah, the solidarity police stations all over the country. They act and move like fraternities. So yeah, but to your question, Brandon, I my response is I just hope you understand what you're getting yourself into, because that it's not a question of how, it's a question of when.
where you
It's
work,
gonna
Will?
be. I work at Whole Foods.
Do you know the history behind Whole Foods?
A little bit. They told us a little bit. It
Mm.
started in 1970, and it started as a small shop, and
Who do
then
they support?
it was like a local.
Who do they support? Like, all these companies that are coming out, they get their funding from somewhere. They
Look, I
support
just found
certain people.
out.
So
All I'm trying to say is a lot of people get on people who join law enforcement or join the police force or join whatever. Everything that we do is government run or has ties somewhere that they're doing things dirty, right? Like everywhere you go, if you don't know your history behind where you work, you don't talk shit about. I'm not saying you, but I hear this all the time. If you can talk shit about government jobs, you better know everything about your job. You better be able to tell me who runs the job, what ties to jobs got themselves into overseas, because that's where the bread's being made. You better be able to tell me if they're funding people like Trump or if they're not. Like you need to know about your job and the dirty shit they do under the table before you can talk about government job. That's easy to talk about. But we all work for the government some way, somehow. We get our money from somewhere.
I
I just
understand,
found
but
out when.
there's. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I just found out Wendy's is funding Trump. They gave Trump $400,000, and I'm mad I can't get my
But it's
food
not
from
just
Wendy's no
Wendy's.
more.
It's wild companies. And my
I
thing is
know that's
once
the
again,
thing.
I know we know, but this is stuff that we probably could look up on our own. We get so mad because someone else told us, right?
And-
Now, or no, don't buy from Wendy's no more. I mean, you have the internet. You can look that up yourself. You didn't want to. You didn't need
Right.
to. They told
Right.
you. It's easy to attack what's already known. Of course, we know that the police force and that the guard, the armed forces have always been this way. Of course, we've always known that if you're black and you join these forces, you're considered a sellout. We know that. But then also, if that means if you work anywhere in this country, if you work for the post office, if you work, like, there's so many places you can be like, oh, like, you're a sellout.
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that.
I'm not
I'm
saying
not
that
necessarily.
you are
I'm
saying
not
that.
necessarily. I'm not necessarily responding with anger.
No, I know.
Because
I know
I'm
you're
not.
not.
I'm not responding with, oh, I think that this person's selling. I'm just saying, just understand what you're getting yourself into, because there's gonna be a day where the line's gonna be drawn in the sand.
I know. I understand. Yes, I get that. What you're saying in that regard.
But if it's a government job,
a lot of people that think the same way as you will work for companies that are just as bad. But I know Aaron's been here, so I kind of want to get some more information from him before we let him go. So I just want, like, your thoughts on anything that we just said. So
Well, yeah, I want to know how you
Yeah,
feel
my
about
fault.
black people in the force, in the police force.
I feel like people gotta, anybody, black, white, Latino, Asian, you gotta if you're gonna get into like the workforce or the police force or anything, just do it with the right intentions and not just solely because, oh, I gotta make money, oh, I gotta do this for, I mean, do it for your family, but also do it because you love to do it. You know what I mean? Like, don't just do it just to do it and just say, oh, I'm a police officer now. Yippee-ki-yay, hoorah, and all that wonderful shit. I just feel like, I'm not going to say like any black person on the police force is a sellout. But I also have to, I have to be a little more, I want to say a little bit more careful just because, I mean, whenever I still live in Newburgh, but whenever the cops drive by, I instantly like kind of freeze up, even though I don't do anything. With everything that's been going on, it's just like, how can I not freeze up? It's not
Yeah,
really
that's
something.
what sucks. It's like black people have like PTSD without even doing anything to deserve it.
For the
Like,
longest, I had PTSD just driving my car.
exactly.
I
I'm
know.
assuming you got pulled over or
Brandon
something.
got pulled over and shared it on his Snapchat story.
Yeah.
Every time it's funny, I could count and the number would be high. If I told you how many times I got pulled over and didn't tell you the reasons why, everyone would look at me like, oh, like, you maybe shouldn't have a license. And it's just like, if I told you the amount of tickets I got compared to the amount of times I got pulled over, then you start raising eyebrows. Like, how many times can someone pull you over and not give you a ticket? And what was the reason for the pullover then? Like, most of the times, like, they come in, they make up some, oh, your tail light was out. Oh, we're gonna give you a warning. Or I got pulled over for I got a ticket for going 4 miles over the speed limit.
I
Like,
thought they couldn't ticket you until you passed 10.
But the thing is, there was wild cars. But my car was suspect.
It's still no excuse,
It
but
was
I
like,
thought,
no, it's not an excuse, but this is what they do. Like, you were constantly looking over your shoulders, because like you just fear that, oh, this is gonna happen. It's PTSD.
I never had a bad experience, and I feel the same way. Like, you got to make sure you do the extra stop at the stop sign. You got to look both ways 3 times before you go.
Because they come after you.
Oh, your mirrors adjusted and all.
Before you even drive, you turn your car on at night. You get
Exactly, yeah. And I
turn the
never had
car
an
on, get
experience
out,
like that.
and make sure all your lights are on. Because if they're not, they come up for every situation. Anything they can find.
Turned for no reason at times, like knowing damn well I did not need to go this way. But I was like, I'm not driving in front of a cop.
But no, I don't care. Yeah, that's not happening. Like, I'll pull into a driveway sometimes. It's not mine.
Exactly.
Like, nah, bro.
It's crazy. Like, it's really crazy to think that we do that, but we do it. Because you never know.
Nah, I remember I was driving down south, and like, and I don't have my license, so I have my permit, but I don't have my license.
You were wilding off right.
No. Because my mom was in the car, so it's all good.
Oh, okay. You didn't start with that.
Yeah, if your
All right,
mom was
my mom was
cool, then cool. But if she wasn't, You
Yeah, I'm
going
about to
wouldn't
down,
say
bro.
it's the
she wouldn't even
stories.
let me drive the car. Like she wouldn't even let me drive. If she wasn't there, she wouldn't let me drive. But I was driving, and I remember I wasn't paying attention, and we had passed the cop, and my mom was like, she was like, "Will, you about to pass the cop? Will, you about to pass the cop?" I got so shook. I was just concentrating on keeping the wheel straight. I was so shook because I knew I was going over. It was a straight road. I was going over. She was like, "Don't put your foot on the brake. Just ease off the gas, slowly, slowly." And then when we passed the cop, like I just kept looking back, like for a good 5 miles. I was like,
Yeah, you got to keep checking. He's still behind you.
Yeah.
You don't
cause
know.
like we was in Maryland too, so I was like, I
Mm.
don't know the laws out here, chill. But to your point, yeah, like I've had those experience. I have those experience where even after I remember the last riot that the last protest cycle that we went through. Um, me and my mom, we had went out and up at Pella Manor, and we was turning, and a cop car was coming down from a was pulling off the lot of a gas station, and like we was stopped at the light, so he was like, it was kind of like we was here, the car was here, the police car was here, and I was in the passenger seat right here. So I look over and I see the cop, and the cop looks at me, and the fear that shot through my body, because you don't know the temperament of cops in those moments. You know what I mean? Like, and I didn't want to give him a reason.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was just woo. It was
I must say, we've talked Will for like the past couple years, and Sarah may have heard some of my takes on police, and I've definitely changed my view on it. Like I've always been an advocate for not judging the situation before it happens. I've always been an advocate of not every cop is bad or not every cop is out to get you, but as you go through the situations and as you become more aware, it's like you, it has to be. I can't have that opinion anymore. I change. I have to change because you're seeing it too often. Like, yeah, of course, people are going through situations where it's not happening, but it's happening way too often, and you're seeing it now. And now at times like this, where you see how they react, how if they when they're given a choice, how many are choosing to go with what their orders are as opposed to standing with us. Like, yeah, like you can't have that take anymore because you're seeing it. The ratio is far too small. For every cop that kneels, there's like 20 of them that are still doing what they're ordered to do. For every cop that puts their shields down and stands with the people, there's too many more that are doing this, and they're going out targeting blacks. Like it hits 8 o'clock on a curfew, and you slashing tires, pulling kids and tasing kids, and bringing people in alleyways, shutting your body cams off, murdering people. Like, no, you can't have the same view you did. It has to be some type of accountability. But we about to let Aaron go, so I want him real quick to say any final thoughts.
And final thoughts. Basically, like if anybody has anything bad to say about anybody protesting, just stop and listen. Just stop and listen. And please just listen to these stories. Listen to the pain that people are going through. Listen to whatever they got in store, because let me tell y'all something. For everybody that says not all cops are bad, we have not seen one video of one quote unquote good cop stopping the bad cop from carrying out that damn action. So we're not trying to hear all that. So until we see that damn video, either listen to us or shut up. You know,
that's how you
Say
feel.
that's how you feel, bro.
that's how
Facts.
All right. Once again,
I
Aaron,
feel about
thank you.
it. Nobody.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate
Yeah,
you.
thank you
You
for
guys
coming
for
on,
giving
bro.
me the opportunity. You
Yeah,
know,
no doubt.
I love talking about this. You know, next time, you know, if you guys want to start this again, you know, just let me know and I'll make some time and you know I'll join again.
Yeah,
Definitely
we'll definitely have
will.
an episode sometime in the future where we experiment with this format again and have some guests come on.
Yeah,
And
because
I'll
we got to
definitely,
see how this all plays out.
yeah,
We
Yeah.
do.
I'll
And we gonna
definitely
talk about
put
it.
you on.
Thank you.
Yes,
Fight
sir.
the good
Thank you.
fight. Stay safe.
Appreciate you,
Stay
Brian.
safe, man.
Most importantly.
I mean, Aaron.
See you later.
All right, brother.
I think that cap is getting to your plane somehow, man.
Yeah, it's a little bit. All right, brother.
All right, man.
Peace.
Thank you very much.
No
Bye.
problem.
No problem.
All right. Yeah. So.
Yeah,
Nah.
I also want to give you another perspective, another view. So I saw a video yesterday, and the video starts as black guy sitting down like smoking a cigarette, and cop comes up to him, and he's like,
Oh, I seen this
like,
video.
yeah, right, why you harassing me, like what's going on? I'm just sitting here. I'm not even doing anything.
FBI
He's
agent?
like, well, yeah, the FBI
Oh
agent.
Yeah, I
no,
seen that.
I saw it was a rumor that he was an FBI agent, but whatever
No,
he
no.
was, they let him go quick.
Because they went in his back pocketed and they found his FBI like badge.
I saw
He's
that,
like-
but then I saw that they realized like his identity obviously says his name, and that's not the person they were looking for, or something like.
But
I don't know. I just read mad rumors about
Here's a
it.
question. I'm not picking sides.
Mhm.
I watched that whole video. I know what happened. My thing is this, right? And like Will was kind of getting that earlier in his preserving life. He was saying preserving life is pretty much his main concern.
Right.
When you watch that video, how many times was the guy in the red? How many times before he was put in cuffs could he have? I know what he was trying to do, but how many
Right.
times could he have put, taken out his wallet or identified himself before they did all that? And I'm not saying I know I get what he was doing. He wanted to bring attention to what cops do, right? And he probably knew that he could get out of it. But who knows? Maybe they put you in the George Floyd situation before you get a chance, right? So sometimes
Right.
you got to choose between making a point and also like using. He made them look. He didn't even make them look dumb because they weren't the type of cops. They were too prideful to actually let something like that go. Like they still, even though they were wrong, they still thought they was in the right. And it was just
Exactly.
like those are the type of cops that you should be scared of. Not scared of, but like you should be mindful of because those are the type of cops that evidently so are killing people. The ones that can't see that they're wrong, that don't think they did anything wrong. So
Yeah. I wanted you to finish the story. Sorry for cutting you off, but people watching probably
No, it's
haven't
all
seen
good.
it.
oh yeah, go ahead. Well, you can finish
Um,
explaining.
So basically, this they kind of like revealed the surprise. But this FBI agent was going back and forth with this police officer, and the police officer instead of telling the FBI agent what his purpose for even approaching him was, he uh motioned to stand him up and handcuff him, like for literally no reason. He's asking him like, well, why are you arresting me? Like, why are you talking to me? Like, why are you approaching me? And this all ensues where he handcuffs him. And he's like, wow, you guys are really dumb. You guys are really like stupid. Just repeating himself. And they pull out, he was like, just check my back pocket, check my identification. And they go in his back pocket and they pull out his FBI badge, and they realize he's an officer. And they uncuff him with the quickness. So that was really, and to the point that I was trying to make. I know the reason why if I know somebody who's black or anything like that going into law enforcement is because unfortunately that was a case where he was not harmed, right? But I know too many cases where on-duty police officers, off-duty police officers who happen to be black have been shot for like helping, for doing their job, for being on the job. I could give you two examples. One example, he's not even a police officer. He's an EMT paramedic. I don't know if you heard of this story too, but they were responding to a call, and this woman started to go into a seizure. She started to have an epileptic seizure. And the protocol is that you have to restrain that person because they're now in danger of themselves. Like they can, possibly die and harm other people. So he had to strap her down to a gurney. And onlookers called the cops on him and for doing his job. And when the cops arrived, they arrested the man, the EMT worker, in his uniform. And he's like, "Yo, I'm just doing my
Next to
job."
the
Like
ambulance truck.
on the side of the road. Like he was in his uniform, and when they showed up and they whipped their guns out, like with the quickness from his account.
Did they
Like,
think
and
he kidnapped her?
I don't know what was going through their head, but he had his uniform on. But it doesn't even stop there. It doesn't even stop there. I'll give you another example. There was a on duty sheriff. No, not sheriff. Deputy chief. Sorry. He was going into I think a bank, a bank building, a building with security in it, right? And he's in the building, and of course he's in uniform, so he has his service pistol on him. I mean his duty pistol on him, and there's this white security guard that he goes back and forth with as he's leaving, and then he walks out of the complex to go to the elevator, and the white security guard has his gun drawn out at the police officer. Mind you, in uniform. He could have been coming up there for anything, but he had his gun drawn. And then the crazy part is that they called the people in the building, called the police on the police officer. And when the other police officers showed up, they were police officers from his unit. His not even his superiors, his subordinates, the people under him. So let that sit. Let's let that sit for a second.
So 10
So
o'clock
now,
is the cutoff song.
yeah,
We have
and
20
so now, with all that being said, like I'm not saying it just as like, oh, the not only is the line drawn in the sand once the time comes, because oh God forbid the I don't want the time to come, but if the time does come, all these black officers, they're gonna have to choose their family essentially over the badge, or vice versa. And shit, history has given us many accounts of how they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn if you black and you got a badge on, and you said the oath, and you behind a blue wall. They don't care. They don't. And there was a pastor too. He was preaching a sermon, and he said um there was a black man shot because the white officer thought that his wallet was a gun, and he thought it was a mistake. Now, it's funny that if it was a black officer, we wouldn't do it because we know that they wouldn't tolerate it. But the only reason why they do to us what they do is because we tolerate it. And it not just to get the part that I wanted to get from that little excerpt. Um, the fact of the matter is that a black police officer knows the law, knows how to conduct himself or herself, um, when it comes to interacting with all people. Sometimes, because you do have those black officers that go above and beyond and
I'll show you a bunch of clips of black officers participating in this shit. So you can't just choose because they black. Like right now, you chose a side. You're on a side. Unfortunately, it's either gonna be black or blue.
the in that cop mode where it's like white cop versus the black cop. The black cop would never do that. Like if it was like if the roles were reversed and there was a white guy who was pulling out his wallet and the black cop accidentally shot him, like the black cop knows that he wouldn't get away with it because they wouldn't tolerate it.
I see
As
what you're saying.
versus,
I
you know what
got
I
you.
mean? Like it's not the fact that I'm saying that we tolerate it, no, but the message in that is the fact that ultimately the black cop, majority of the time, not all the time, knows exactly what they, meaning white officers, white superiors, the judicial system, they know that if it's them in the situation, it's clipped. But if it's a white officer,
Final thoughts on the issue at hand today.
My final thoughts. I'm feeling anxious and worried for the protesters. And Trump is really out of his goddamn mind, but not to him, which is the scariest part. And I literally just don't know what will happen next. I feel like I end every episode with I'm at a loss for words, and I still am at a loss for words. It's just crazy out here. I hope everybody stays safe, first and foremost.
for me, I might be contradicting myself, but I don't care. When it comes to protesting, when it comes to rioting and stuff like that, I really don't care. I just want to minimize the casualties on our side as much as possible, because there are bigger hands in this. There are um, other factors that have led us to this point, and I just wish and hope and have faith in the fact that our people will wisen up to all the tricks that they employ upon us when we seem to be progressing in an upward motion to make us degress. I just hope that we can see those things and we can move accordingly, because that is literally based upon our survival in this whole thing. So stay safe. If you're protesting, stay safe. Abide by the curfew laws. You are not Superman out here. You're not Superwoman out here. And hopefully that there will be some type of resolution to all of this.
For me, first things first, most importantly, we need to make sure that we are continuing to educate ourselves. And I don't mean with school, I don't mean just picking up a dictionary. I mean like making sure that we are well versed in our history. Because once again, we kind of bring up a lot of these things and then it's not facts. Like it's a lot of fabrications that are being tossed around as we speak about our own history, which don't help for protesters and like for us to once again work on being a united front. Even if you don't agree, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, they didn't necessarily always agree with each other's ways of protesting, but that does not mean that they didn't approve of the other person's message. Like they were still they still supported each other. So there's certain things we can do. Also, whenever we can, just make sure that we are aware of what we are putting our interest into. Is it really important to care about new Jordans or the new Gucci or the new like the? And there's a lot of people. Oh, what are you talking about? Like nobody. Well, a lot of people do. Whatever you care about, like you watching TV? Are you watching Jerry Springer? Are you watching Maury? Are you watching all this bullshit? Like this is all stuff that is our entertainment. Entertainment. If you have a distraction in your house, you probably watching something that's a distraction, and nothing's wrong with that. But be mindful of how much and what you're doing. Like it's a trap, right? So this is all to keep us in a certain spot. It's a trap to make it feel like, yeah, you have this too. So you don't have it that bad, right? Like no, but it's an illusion, and we need to make sure that we're being mindful. Shift our money from unnecessary materialistic desires and put them into other things. Build up our own communities and try to make a change that way. But let's not be so quick to shut each other out. We have our differences, but as just like anybody else. We're not meant to all get along, even just because we're black. We're not meant to all have the same ideas. We're not meant to all agree all the time. But we are supposed to be able to come together in times like this. We should be able to do that, right? We don't, we can't. So we have to figure that out first. And I don't know the answer to that, but I hope that we figure it out. And if
Yeah,
not
we
my
all just
lifetime, hopefully, if I have kids or if they have kids, hopefully they don't got to grow up and something that's worse off than what we had. So
that's how you feel.
How you feel?
that's how
I
I feel.
felt it.
All right, so if you enjoyed this podcast, this episode, please like, comment, subscribe, share, have the conversation, because it's an important conversation to have. Be open, open your ears, open your mind, open your heart, because that's the only way we are going to progress as one in unity, as my brother Brandon would say. So again, stay safe, be blessed, peace.
Bye.